All right. Well, good morning and welcome everyone in breakout room 3. Day 2, new system as in the past, a couple of big changes from our fall leadership. One of the biggest is this is a virtual format, as we know, are all getting more used to. And the other is a couple of years ago, before we went to the virtual, we had many discussions about bringing in the presidents from the local divisions. We needed to hear what they were doing that was successful, what they needed from the committees and the board of directors. And the best way to do that was at the fall leadership conference. So I'm pleased to say we're going to keep that format, and next year in fall, we should be meeting in person. And we will be meeting all of you and talking to you, and hopefully even have better ideas from what I'm learning, some great ideas that are being successfully implemented in our divisions. My name is Susie Dixon. As you know, I'm your government relations state chair, but I'm also your president-elect. So it's an exciting time for me to be able to meet everyone. And as I said, hopefully in person, but to especially connect with the division presidents. So we are going to have 1.5 hours in this breakout room. Yesterday, I did not take a break, and everybody seemed fine with that. But if you need to stand up and move around or use the facilities, please feel free. But we found we couldn't even finish all of the questions. The first thing I'm going to do is welcome. We have Nancy Roberts. Raise your hand. She's from our Government Relations Committee. She's our liaison for areas 7 and 8. And Marilyn Smith. Where's Marilyn? There she is. She's from the Communication and Technology Committee. The reason the committees are joining us is all of the 3 committees, membership, GRC, and CTC, have been meeting on a regular basis virtually. So for them to meet in a leadership position at their own level wasn't required for this conference. And what we need is to hear from you what you need from our committees. As I said, there's lots of topics to cover, and I'm going to ask each person to I'm going to go through the questions that you should have received, and I'm going to go through them, call your name, and have you respond so we can hopefully move through all of them. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my screen and ask you to say your full name, and not just what area and division, but what city you are joining us from. So
Susie, there's a lot of background noise somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, somebody turn off their TV in the background.
Yes, somebody, TV or radio.
Whatever.
Because I would hate to mute people. Okay, thank you. So Cynthia, would you introduce yourself?
Oh, yes, I'm Cynthia Blackwell. I'm co-president with my sister Kathy Ryder for Division 77, and I live in Costa Mesa.
Great, thank you. Marilyn.
Hi, I'm working with Sue on the Communications and Tech Committee. I live in Texas, but I'm affiliated with Division 43 out in the desert, Palm Desert, Indio, all the way to Blythe.
Thank you. Nancy.
Nancy Roberts, and I just moved to Northern California, so I am in Division 39 and Area 1.
Thank you. And is that Jeannie?
Jenny, yeah.
Or Jenny?
Hi, I'm president and in Division 16, Area 2. I live in the small town of Shasta Lake, which is just north of Redding.
Great, thank you. Donna.
Hi, I'm Donna Clark, president of Division 27. I'm also currently holding membership chair, and I live in Eureka, California, in Humboldt County.
Thank you. And then we have Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Considine. I'm president of Division 13, Pomona Valley, and also the Teacher Grants Chairman. And I live in Glendora.
Great, thank you. Carol.
Carol Lee.
Is it Carol Lee?
Carol Lee, yes.
Yes, I'm Carol Lee Montoya, and I'm from Division 13, and I'm first vice president in charge of programs, and I live in Glendora also.
Thank you. And there's Bill.
Good morning. I'm Bill Oren from Area 3, Division 20. I'm the current president, and we generally cover San Joaquin County, although I live in Lodi, California.
Great. And our last one is Marcos.
I'm Marco Contreras. I live in Pleasanton, the Bay Area, but I'm a member of Division 20 in San Joaquin County because I retired from college in San Joaquin Delta College in Stockton.
Great, thank you. And there's still a little background noise, so if you are able to, if you could make sure you don't have a TV or a radio, shut your door. If someone in your household, we can't tell them to shut the TV off, but if you have a door you can shut, that's great. The questions for today were very different from yesterday. Myself, Lorraine Martinez, and Pat Seaman, we developed what we felt were the questions from what you were surveyed as your highest needs. So our first one is, if you are president or co-president, how do you divide your duties? So I know, Cynthia, you're a co-president. Is there something special you do to divide your duties?
Well, since it's with my sister, and she's the oldest and kind of boss of pants, she tends to send me my marching orders of what I need to do. It's usually not reciprocated, but I do what she asks me to do. And we work together as a team, and we each have the assignment of finding 2 new people, one for newsletter, so she doesn't have to do the newsletter, because that's what she was doing besides this. And my job was to work on membership, and I found a person for membership. So that was our big goal of the year, and we've accomplished that.
That's great.
Yeah, so now we're just going to be working on, getting other people and trying to get more people more active and things. So yeah, we share the jobs. We do it together.
Great. Is there anyone else who's a co-president? Is there anyone who wishes they were a co-president? Yes. So one of the things, and we'll talk about this later, is we did a little bit yesterday, but how do you get people engaged in that leadership role? I think that's the most difficult situation, is to get everyone in your divisions to start feeling like it's time for someone to share this. So, and we just had Bob join us. Good morning, Bob.
Morning.
And Bob, what city are you from?
Davis, California, Yolo County,
Great.
right below or east of Sacramento, west of Sacramento.
Okay, great. Now, if though we only have one who's a co-president, does anyone have any ideas of how to recruit someone to share the job with? Because it does get overwhelming. I know a lot of our presidents are they're doing membership, they're doing newsletter, they're doing every single job. So yesterday we talked about someone she called herself the bully. I called herself the persistent persuader. So maybe just continuing to pull in someone and give them a small job, just something very little to ease them in, or bring Cynthia's sister in. I've met her, she's great. This question, I'm going to go around and just call on each of you. Does your division have term limits? And is that working? Okay, Cynthia.
I can tell you we don't, because when I joined, which was after my sister had already been there, my parents had been there for a long time. We had not had a president in a really long time, and Judy Glick was doing 15 jobs. And so my mom basically said, girls, there's just no reason why you two just can't do more than you're doing. Of course, we were already in 18 different things with her.
Right.
And our board everybody had been taking turns organizing everything. They've been sharing it around, had gone around. So it was such a relief, but it's just really hard to get people to do more than just pay their dues. And I think part of it is the teachers coming out right now, Susie, they are beyond exhausted. They don't know if they're coming or going, and the thought of one more Zoom or one more meeting has put them over the edge.
Right.
They like what we do, they just don't want to be involved in what we do.
And that's something we learned some great ideas yesterday. Simple, change the word meeting to event.
That's what we've done.
And that's key. And then make it more of a fun activity, like the taco, the back to school. It's not back to school in the park taco event that one of the divisions is holding. So people can bring their families at the first one to kind of get them engaged. But they're worn out. So we have to help lift them up, as we did with our students. It's just one of those things. We've got to get them back on track. Jenny, do you have anything that do you have term limits, or how does it work?
Well, yeah, normally a 2-year. I'm actually into my 3rd year because I volunteered to stay another year because of the past year we were not able to have elections. So I'm staying on, and that's fine. I don't have a co-president, but we do have co-vice presidents, one and two. And the first 2 share duties of membership, and the other 2 share duties of events for members, planning for members out trips, that kind of thing.
And Donna, does your division have term limits?
In theory, yes. But like Jenny said, this past year, basically everyone just volunteered to stay on. We changed our bylaws so a person who was happy doing what they were doing didn't have to. I mean, they could run again. There was not a limit on the term. But we also have 2-year terms, but it's open to re-up. And my problem is I get people to volunteer to be on the board, but then the majority of them, unless they are really passionate about something, like my scholarship chair, she's been doing it for years and she absolutely loves it. So I'm not going to rock the boat. I have a corresponding secretary that loves, writing cards to people. So she's stayed on. But for the most part, I get people who volunteer to be on the board, and yet I'm having a really hard time getting them to do anything. So I sent my board saying, okay, I'm going to give you a break. We were meeting monthly during the pandemic because I couldn't see anybody. And so I was worried about overwhelming them. So I said, okay, we're going to go back to our every other month meeting. Everyone was great on that. We did some reorganizing of our regular meetings. In my area, people do not want to meet. I mean, I've tried having picnics twice, and people just said, no, we're not going to do that, because in our area, the vaccination rate is really quite low. We're among the lowest in the state. We're barely at 53%. And it's just gotten worse, not better, because of the Delta variant. So people are really adamant they do not want to meet, period. So whatever, all the things I've tried have been all canceled. So we do every other month Zoom, and we have 2 guest speakers for each meeting, and the people that come really love them. We have 30 to 40 people, which is not, that would be the size of a small lunch in our area. And the rest of the people get the information about the meeting, the following newsletter, and our newsletter editor gets rave reviews from people both digitally and in the mail. So, but when I asked the board, I need 2 volunteers to make a call to a restaurant, and no one volunteers. So then I limited to the directors who are not doing anything but showing up and being directors, which is like a member at large. So I emailed them, and I said, please, okay, I know you're not going to the leadership because of Delta, I get that, but I need 2 volunteers to each one make a phone call to a restaurant. And no one volunteered. I just did it to those 5 people. And then finally I got an email saying from the busiest person on the board saying that she would do it between, traveling for AFS and doing all the busy things that she's doing. But I was really disappointed because I have board members that have done absolutely nothing except, oh, I'll be aboard. I said, are you sure? Basically, you haven't done anything. Do you really want to re-up? Because I almost like to, oh, yes. Oh, I want to volunteer. You're wonderful, Donna. It's like,
Well,
great.
that kind of goes into that whole part of, do you have board members who are not effective? And one of the suggestions has been they have to have a specific guideline. And if they aren't able to follow that, then we have to get someone to shadow and kind of move into that, because that has been a common problem with COVID. People have become a little more complacent and don't realize divisions have had great activities Zoom wise. Some are meeting in person, some are meeting virtually, and some are doing both. So Kathy, do you have any term limits or any board members who are, as we were just talking about with Donna, that are board members, but not in name only, I guess is how we would say that.
We have term limits. Well, I shouldn't say term limits. We have elections every 2 years, but nobody has ever said you can't continue on a job. Our president, the last president we had, was there for 8 years. Then she had enough of that and she had to resign. And then we had, for I think it was 4 years, we had revolving presidents. Like that's where I got my first experience being a president, because I was the recording secretary. So we had the 4 top officers took turns. We have 4 meetings a year. So we had the treasurer, the recording secretary, and the 2 vice presidents each had a meeting that year for 2 years. And then one of the vice presidents dropped out. So then there were only 3 of us, and we revolved the meetings around for a while. And so this year I finally decided it was easier to just be the president than to be the president and the recording secretary. So I'm the president for the next 2 years, and I don't know what's happening after that. But Carol Lee just joined as the vice president, and she's in charge of programs, and she wasn't really thinking that she was going to be a vice president. She just thought she was being asked to get programs, and the person who was helping her backed off and said, Carol Lee, you've got the job. So I really admire Carol Lee for doing that and agreeing to do that. We have had one person during the pandemic who actually didn't re-up. They didn't pay their dues. So finally, we couldn't get a hold of this person. So finally, I just sent her a message that since she hasn't paid her dues, I'm assuming that she's no longer interested, and she was doing community outreach. So we got someone else to do community outreach. But most of all, we have a pretty active board. Our treasurer has been treasurer he's probably been treasurer for 10 years or more.
Well, and that's something at the state level we've talked about. If you have in your bylaws term limits, it's really difficult if you can't get someone to step in. So you can change your bylaws.
I don't know that it's in the bylaws, to tell you the truth. I don't know if we have to get out after 2 years, or if it's just we have the election every 2 years.
Right. Yeah, you might want to check, and because a lot of people that's what we've done, is just change them to meet our needs. Carol Lee, do you have any other input on that? You're muted.
I sure don't.
Oh, well, thank you for stepping up as vice president and membership. So
No, she's
I mean,
programs.
program. See, ours is vice president and membership. So that kind of people
Well,
go,
we have the first
"What
vice president is programs and the second vice president is
is
membership.
membership?" Yeah. So, wow. Bill, how are your divisions doing?
Well, we do have bylaws that indicate that a president can only serve 2 terms and a term is 2 years. So when I'm in my second term, when I became president, I had joined earlier as a vice president on the board. And it had been tradition that the vice president would move up to the president. And so when the former president had to leave, he asked if I would be willing to run for president, and I did. And then when I became president, there was an opening for vice president. And I asked Marcos Contreras, who's here today with us, who I knew from Delta College. I worked there as well. And he said, sure, I'd be glad to do that. And he's been a great addition to our board. He has taken on lots of responsibilities and has helped me in many ways. We do have a board that, besides Marcos, has been there for a long, long time. And many of them, I think, are ready to move on, but can't find somebody to replace them. We have advertised in our newsletter for people to step up to volunteer and so forth, and that generally doesn't work. But occasionally we'll get somebody who has stepped up and wants to do something. So that is good as well. So I'm hoping that Marcos, when I leave my term, which would be next year, that Marcos would step up and become president. How about that, Marcos?
Yes,
How
that's
about that,
fine.
Marcos? And this is recorded, remember?
Right.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Donna, you have your hand up?
Yes, we were in the exact situation when I came onto the board as a new member. The most of the board had been there for years and were really tired. And the then president was starting to try and write down different jobs and different assignments to get people going. And she had identified a vice president who then became president after her. And then they moved me up to vice president. And we got younger members on the board. But now my situation is my secretary, who had done it for a couple of years, and I begged her to stay on and she did, but she said she wanted me to list her as interim secretary because she wants to get off. And no one has volunteered to be vice president because they saw the handwriting on the wall that if you became vice president, that someone would ask you to become president. Right. So now I'm in a situation where I have no vice president because nobody wants
that transition.
Yeah. So I found that the only way I was able to get anyone on the board was just to start looking at members' names and just calling them.
Right.
And
Personal
first
connection.
I said, would you do me a favor and do this little job? And then eventually that person became a director. And then another person said, I asked for people to give me suggestions. I said, when I was actually in a Zoom meeting, I said, we've had these great speakers. If anyone has any ideas, email me. Well, somebody emailed me a whole bunch of suggestions. So I invited her to become a director.
Good.
And
okay. Well, let's hear from Marcos. Marcos, do you have anything to add what Bill said now that you know your incoming president?
Well, I always wanted to help in whatever capacity, but like Bill said, it's very difficult to get people to volunteer, and we will continue to try to get people excited. But I was thinking about maybe what I'm going to propose next time we meet with the board is that we invite them to come to meetings like this, for example, because it should, I'm sure we can get people as guests to come in and attend meetings like this and start kind of getting people more knowledgeable and more involved by probably inviting people to come along with us when we have meeting with other people within the organization. to come out and not just only meet in their own groups in Stockton, but also go out to whatever other meeting where Bill go, or I go to, we go to meeting. Usually when Bill go, I go with him because I'm wanted to help. But I'm sure that, other people need a little push. So I
Right.
would probably suggest that maybe grabbing somebody to come with us, to get in the car with us and go, drive wherever we need to go to meet, and to get people more involved. I think that we need to give them a little push. I don't think people are going to just step forward and volunteer without a little pressing, a little pushing.
That's an excellent point. And it's also that shadowing,
Yes.
bringing someone in to show them and breaking them into little parts of the job first, is what I'm hearing from a lot of different presidents that has been effective, because it's a universal problem.
Yes.
Bob, do you have anything you can add?
Well, we have our president right now on his third term, and he got into the third term because we changed our bylaws. So, that's the way it is. We have quite a few in name only officers, but they just do what they're one little. I guess they don't do their complete office. They do just one segment of it, and then you have to get somebody else to follow through on what they're not doing. We're small. We're over about 250 members, and we have 5 school districts, but we have a representative of each school district, and all they're required to do is tell us what's going on with the school district, and that gives information to all of the other members when they attend a general meeting. Other than that, I've tried to push them to write articles, to try and go to school board meetings and present what we have as an organization. We do get a big check that's shown at our board of supervisors, and also about 3 of our school board meetings, we'll go and show them the check of the volunteer hours that we have. Charles Denon, my area director, has used a financial report that the University of Pacific did about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago, that showed how much each county is getting through teacher pensions and where that money goes to. It's pretty amazing. And my whole thing is, being a band director, you have to blow your own horn. And I think we don't do that enough, particularly in branding. But as far as getting people to work, we've had the same problem with CTC in the early years. I've been on that board for about 6 years. And there was a time when we just said, try and do what you like to do as far as CTC, and try and get someone else to do the work that you don't want to do, is what it amounted to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, so before we move on to the next part, what I like to do is we hear the problem. It seems pretty consistent. We all have the similar problems as far as getting new members or existing members to take on a leadership role. So from that, the one thing I heard is that might be more successful is giving them a small job first. And like Marco suggested, bringing them into the fold, and of course, having lunch with them, that social thing, but bringing them in when you're doing your board meetings or something, so they see it's not as daunting as some people think. I think people think it's overwhelming. Does anyone else have a suggestion of how we can gradually bring in new leaders? Nancy?
I'll just say that I was specifically asked, when you put out a notification, will anybody do this? People tend to just not volunteer. But if you call a person that you think would do a good job for a specific thing, the ask, I think, makes a difference.
Yeah.
And always use the positive, you're the best, I've seen you in action, the good schmoozing.
Don't be fake,
No, but
be
but
real, but
sincere.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but just like, I think it's hard. We all forget going back in the classroom, put yourself as that teacher. How did you motivate that child who just didn't believe in themselves? You told them you believed in them. You gave them little steps to move forward. So does anyone else have anything? I love ask specifically. That's key.
Also, let them know that you'll help them.
Right.
Like they're not going to be an island, but that you'll support them and help them with their questions.
Right. The shadowing is key, a transition period. And does anyone else have any suggestions? Yes.
I'm fortunate, even though I'm the only president, I have 3 ex-presidents on the board, and they are all extremely supportive, give me advice when I answer questions that I have. It just made my job so much easier to handle because there's a lot of initial information and things that you can't absorb all at once. You have to take it in a bit at a time. And to get me to run for president, 2 of those ex-presidents took me to lunch, told me about the
There's
job,
the lunch.
and gave me information so
Mhm.
that I understood that I would have support, that the job wasn't all that difficult once you get into it. And I just felt, okay, I can do this, It was how I got into Cal RTA, really. I don't remember, it was years ago, but a representative of Cal RTA came to our teacher meeting and talked to us about Cal RTA. And she did such a good job, I never forgot. So as soon as I retired, I joined Cal RTA because of that person-to-person contact.
Right. That's huge. I love that. And I love the lunch. That's how we just got Division 42, a new president about 4 months ago. And we took her to lunch, bought her lunch, and she's amazing. And but we had to tell her, you will be amazing. And she knows you have to tell them you're going to be there to support them. The next section was about, and this is how we're going to get our future members, our newly retired, and educate the branding of Cal RTA. So we're going to talk, I'm just going to make this more free, raise your hand. We don't have to go around if you don't have a specific, but how many school districts do you have? Some of our divisions, our areas have a large number, and some divisions. The most effective way you've been communicating. Now, remember, this is pre, during, and post COVID. We're now in that transition where you will not most likely be able to go in the classrooms, do a speech to the teachers till spring, but you can drop off materials. The office staff will accept, and always take that See's candy box so that they know you appreciate them putting it in the mailboxes. And how have you worked with the unions? That was something, our new president was a CTA rep president. So she is phenomenal. And we worked with the union on a standard basis with their meetings. So does anyone have any way they've been, and you can talk pre-COVID because we're going to transition, and you can talk during. Donna.
Well, my area represents 2 counties. So Humboldt County being a large rural county, we have approximately, I think, 60 different school districts. And then up in Del Norte, they have one representing, I think, 8 schools. So since we're so spread out and we have many, some of them are just 2-room schools off in the hills. It's really hard to get. I mean, I have been to some small school districts, but it's like an hour or 2 drive to up in the hills to go find some of them. So fortunately, I'm able to work really closely with the supers. So the county offices of ed in both Humboldt and Delaware County allow me to send them the flyers for the teachers grants and an electronic copy of our newsletter, and it goes to the entire both counties, all teachers. So I'm really lucky. We did that in the before the COVID. We tried to show up with the paper, but we were advised that the teachers really didn't like that. They preferred it electronically. So since we got that feedback from teachers that said they looked at the paper and just it wound up in the recycling bin. So I figured, why waste the paper if they didn't want it that way? So we switched even before COVID to sending all that information electronically. When because we pushed it so hard, we've been regularly getting the $100 teacher grants in either Humboldt or Delaware County, and then we show up, did a presentation, gave everybody little, gift bags to all the staff, gave the check, took pictures, sent it to the newspaper. But of course, that ended. We lost that kind of access.
Well, and that's something that we're talking about that you can go back to. You just won't actually see the person. You can drop the gift bags. Is anybody else done that recently, like with the information material? Bob?
Yeah, we give a $100 scholarship to each school district. We, I talked to Johanna, and then we use the list that she gets, and she's able to go ahead and I'll tell her how many you have, and then she can divide it by the different school districts so that she picks 5 names from each separate school district. She's able to do that. And then we've done it on Zoom with the teacher. We try and get a picture of her with the check after she gets it, or 3 of them sent us a picture of them holding the check, and we put it into the newspaper and our newsletter. But we found that pretty effective before COVID hit. And we always do it on the very first. We were doing it 3 times a year. Now we're doing it 2. We always do it on the first one to let them know who we are in the very beginning of the year. So that's worked pretty effectively. That we didn't get much time at the staff meetings. It was like 5 minutes and that was it. But it did work.
Have any of you contacted and worked closely with your local union? Yeah, Cynthia?
I'm actually on the board for the Newport Mesa retired teachers, along with several of our board members at CalRTA. So because of that, I'm able to we had 1 and we only had half the people show up just recently in September or August for our annual meeting, but I'm able to get a list of those people. And every time we have a newsletter go out, because we have a huge one that goes out from Newport Mesa retired, I have a page I'm allowed to do for CalRTA. Joanne Kopp is in her group. She's always pushing CalRTA. Yes. So, and then at the meetings, I always have a time to talk and to hand out stuff. But working with our union, I purposely got on the board of the Newport Mesa retired because I knew they would tie into CalRTA.
And they're doing, though they're back in person, a lot of them are still doing their meetings via Zoom. And so if you reach out to the presidents, sometimes they'll let you be a guest. We were going in person and push the fact that it's important to be a member of CTAR and CalRTA. But the benefits of CalRTA far outweigh because we work for the retiree. CTAR does not have the paid advocates. It doesn't have the resources that we have to be on top of the legislation. So it's a real positive. It was getting to even be better. It was a better positive partnership to get new members in. But so we're going to have to get creative with the Zoom. I see, let me see, Bill.
I was just wondering what the CTAR dues are. How do they compare with our dues?
I'm a member and I think they're
Equal. They're
yeah,
the
well, I
same.
think they went up. Mine, I think we're higher than 66. I'd have to look.
No, that I just saw somebody's pay stub that's $550 for dues deduct,
Wow.
exactly like ours.
Yeah,
Same
maybe
thing.
dues deduct. I just do the annual, so I think it's a little bit more for CTAR, but I do, you know, CalRTA on our dues deduct. But we, you know, we can always help you do a Zoom to show. It's very sensitive. I always wanted to make sure that people understood we weren't criticizing CTAR, but we were showing the benefits of being a member of CalRTA. And last year, mid-year, we had 25% increase in retirees. So we missed a huge group that we've got to capture. And on that note, that's why I'm saying, if you can get into your school districts, it's already September. We don't know if this mid-year is going to be a continuous trend, you know, so Nancy?
Back to Bob. Bob, when you said that you guys did the $100 scholarship, is that as a drawing or did they
It's
apply?
Joanna draws from the people
That's what I
put
thought.
in
Okay.
for the state grants. Yeah.
Okay.
Before I forget, we call our meetings luncheons. We found that helps out a lot than meeting.
Right. Luncheon, event, party, something. Wait, I see Kathy.
We have a couple things that we do with the districts. Well, first of all, our membership person is in close touch with our district. We have 10 school districts in the San Gabriel Valley and the Pomona Valley area. And our membership chairman sends out packets each year at the end of the year to the retirees. She gets the names of the retirees from the secretaries of the districts and sends them out. And we get a lot of membership that way. And also we have a teacher grant program that we send out to each school district, just like Donna was saying, electronically. I send it to the superintendent a letter and he sends it out to all his principals and they send it out to their staff, and everybody in those 10 school districts can apply for a grant up to $200. And then we, in the past, have gone to the schools with the check after we choose from among the applications. We go to the school district to the staff meeting if possible and present the check at the staff meeting and get a picture and put it in the newsletter. And we also have the Day of the Teacher in May, where we have a drawing. Any teacher in those school districts can put in their name and they get into a bag and we pull it and they get $50 for just being in the drawing. And that we have had to, we've sent those by mail and we're still doing that.
Thank you. Wait, I saw Cynthia, you had your hand.
Yeah, I was just writing a note down from what she just said about
Okay.
the drawing, but really
like
quickly, when you're talking about CalArt or CTAR, we ran into all these people that say, oh no, I already belong, because they don't get that CTAR is not CalRTA.
Right.
So I've gone around and around with this guy at church and I just finally gave up on him. I thought, you know what, I can't fix you.
No. And the difficulty with that a lot of times is because they're still in the schools.
Right.
CTAR is able to
Yeah.
CTA gets their information.
Right.
Some of them actually give the free 1-year membership. But we're doing that at division level too. So our branding and our communication, that's why I say, think smart, get in the schools with the office staff, get the information in. Don't wait till spring because it's kind of too late. We have to keep educating what CalRTA is. Marilyn.
There is an article that Ed DePass wrote. I don't know when he wrote it, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago at least. But if you can get your hands on that, or if you want a copy, I can send it to
If
anybody.
you could send it, yeah.
He does a superb job of comparing and contrasting the two and making the case for joining both.
Mhm.
So
I
do you
would
want
love to see that.
shall I send it to everybody who's here?
You could, we have all the emails. We
Yeah.
started a document about 4 years ago, CalRTA, CTAR. And we do the comparison, but that was the time that we were able to work with the unions more closely and in person. And so we found that we didn't really want to do a negative, it just was like compare and contrast, and it showed very clearly why you want to be a CalRTA member. So we pulled back on it, but I still have that. So I think we verbally should be able to share that with people. We just don't want to create a division. Donna.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We used to meet at the CTA office and then we were literally kicked out. We met when I joined, almost everyone on our board were dual members. And we had 2 of our members meet with the local CTA president and, went through all that, took him to lunch. And after that, he became even more hostile. And that's when we were kicked out. We used to go to the largest school district in our area is Eureka City Schools. And since so many of our members were from Eureka City Schools, we would go to their retirement party. And again, we were kicked out. We were told we weren't able we could come, but we shouldn't bring any materials. So last time I just said I had gift cards, a congratulations, and I slipped the material in and gave it to all the members. But they've been extremely hostile. And so I think that I'm going to rewrite my letter to new retirees and explain why you can join both.
Right.
And the fact that we give the first year free. But again, I think you're right. I think
I think that's what's key is there is
earlier.
It is area too, like up there, it could be that your local CTA person is more hostile. Down here, they've just been
Wonderful.
Phenomenal. We work with the presidents. So I love the fact you're just going to keep trying, and we're going to do it in a positive way. So that article, Marilyn, will be great for us to use. And I'm looking at our time. Okay. I'm not sure how much this is good for your division history, but again, it really would be, I think, important for leadership to be able, or future leaders to be able to see the history, like a job description. I know when I was thrown into division GRC, it was like, okay, you're it. And I was like, what does it mean? So I spent a lot of time, and thank goodness for Lynn Lindsay, who helped shadow and mentor, but then went to the state, the same thing. So does anyone have any great ideas other than like a scrapbook with pictures? How do you keep your history of your division? Not just events, but who's been on the board and speakers. I think that's exciting for people to see, the people you've brought in. Does anybody have anything earth shattering?
We used to do the binder thing, but that sort of died. And so my current CTC and newsletter editor has been scanning them all to have a digital history, but I'm going to ask her to do the annual speaker list. And
Yeah.
so that we can keep a board member list too.
And Bill?
We do have a historian on the board, and when I took office as president, I found that there were many, many bankers boxes full of materials of the history of our division. So I asked her to start looking through that. It's a monumental job because all that stuff had just been collected for years and years. So she started, and she's found some really interesting articles that might have been published in the newspaper and that featured teachers or featured CalRTA. And she's found photographs from the 20s and even before the 20s,
Wow.
when Stockton used to be a really important city in California, and it was for many, many years, and has a long history of being such. Anyway, we've been putting those articles in the newsletter and with photos if she has them. And then people have been responding to those articles and wanting to know more about the history of education and teachers in San Joaquin County and maybe CalRTA. And so that's really been an effective way to kind of pique the interest of other people who have just joined or people who remember these things. And so that seems to help a little bit.
I like that. Those would be interesting to see.
Yes,
Is there
for sure.
anyone else before I ask Donna? You guys, the rest of you are being too quiet. Come on, jump in.
I was just going to volunteer. We did that in our last newsletter. I can send you the link, Susie, and you can share it.
I would love that because I think and send it to everyone, because I think that's the point of these breakout rooms. And then we have all of our emails. And if you don't, I can send it to them too. But yeah, some of our divisions have stacks of the binders of pictures and things. And that's one of the things we talked about, making sure our CalRTA brand really promotes how long we've been around, 91 years. So Marilyn.
Could Marcos and Carol Lee in the chat, which is only going to this room right now, could you add your email address so that we can send you these things?
Do I have, I may have gotten the updated one. Let me see. Nope, thank you for noting that. We had
Susie, we only got the email addresses for yesterday,
right.
not this day.
Oh, we sent day 2 a while ago. I actually sent it, not Sue, but we don't have Marco. I have Cynthia. I don't have Marcos.
Okay, I'll put it in here.
But I can resend, once Marcos sends it, I can resend this list. I'll add Marcos to this.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, and that was something, I don't know if it was brought up in your rooms yesterday, but people were saying there's such an abundance of information and it's overload. Unfortunately, for an event like this, there had to be an abundance of information. And what I found is, as I get updated, I'll trash the last one because my files are like, oh, is this the one? Is that? So it is a juggling act. This is key here, guys. How does your division connect with the CalRTA state office and board? And I'm going to add committees. Do you ask like the committee chairs to present at a meeting? It's been much easier with Zoom. I can travel in a day across the state, but I am back in person and in Zoom. So how does your division, let's just go around, starting with Cynthia, go around the group. How does your division connect with the state office? Like we hear Johanna's name a lot. Woo, I know, she's amazing with that. Do you contact your board of director? Do you contact a committee chair?
No, I just get the stuff from Johanna and get back to her when I need stuff. Becky Carroll is our area president, area 10, and she does a really good job. So we do a lot of communication with her. For the state level, not really. But I did ask this question yesterday, and I'm going to ask it again today. when you were asking about what areas our districts cover, I mean, our divisions cover, what school districts, I'm so puzzled because we've got 2 divisions right in Costa Mesa, which isn't that big of a place, because whatever Bob Hines belongs to, it's his division and our division. It's like we're trying to pull from the same exact group, whereas if it was just one big one for this area, it would probably work better. Because I don't know who he's going out after when they retire. He doesn't know what we're doing. It's just, it's very confusing to us why
Yeah.
there's 2 for this area. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, I wish I could answer that. I know when we do advocacy days, I have that list where about maybe 5 or 6 of the districts have dual areas. So we
Right.
just divide it up. We give it up and say, Cynthia, do you want it? Or Nancy, do you want it? We've had to do that. Wish I could tell you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Marilyn.
We're deleting our
going
resources of worker bees.
Right. Marilyn, I know
Kathy?
you must use things.
On the state website,
Mhm.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly in the division resources section, because there's so many things there that are useful for people in divisions, whether they're on the board or not. In addition, from the website, you can also get to the YouTube account that CalRTA has. You just click on that little icon up at the top right, the YouTube icon, and then click on either playlists or videos. I find videos the easiest, and they are in reverse chronological order. And you can see videos of whole webinars, the short videos that Sue has been putting out about how to do this specific thing on Zoom or that specific thing for newsletters, or the one that I just included in an e-blast that our division sent out is the one that Jennifer made regarding the SB, I can't remember the numbers, that was stopped before it got out of committee.
457, yeah.
That's a powerful one to send out, because
Mhm.
that's how, and it's short, but it's how you can get people. I'm planning to do an article, brief article with that link, or I don't know, shortened URL or something, to get people there to watch that, to know what one of the most powerful things is that CalRTA does for people.
Mhm. And to
So,
get people to use the website
yes.
regularly, it's key.
Yeah,
Going
one of
around, let's
One of
go
the things
now.
that's an issue, I think, and we got at questions for CalRTA yesterday, we got a question from Mike Harris about this. Is the login. For division websites, no one has to log in, except of course, if the web manager is going to change anything. But for the state website, if you want to get to those members things, you have to log in every single time.
Mhm.
And I've been beating on that drum, not getting anywhere, but I'm still going to beat on it, that there are a couple of websites that I go to regularly where once you sign in, you can stay signed in for 2 weeks. And then you have to sign in again. I'd like to see a system like that. But I think the logging in every time discourages people.
Well, we'll have to ask Debbie. I think pretty much my understanding is it's for security reasons. I mean, we have everything on the homepage with GRC that you
Yes.
can access, but
No. Actually, once you log in, you get a thing that says, do you want to save this? Just save it. And then the next time it just automatically fills. It's so easy.
Sometimes it doesn't though, because I do that every time on my iPad or my Mac, and it doesn't. So I think it's,
Maybe how you set up, because I've been doing
Yeah.
that for years.
Yeah.
It's just automatic. I typed it in once, saved, and I get in every single time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going around the room because I'm watching our time. Nancy, and I'm putting her on the spot. How often do you use the state website and the state staff?
Not often enough. I have gone on. To me, I feel like it was not very user friendly. It's not intuitive to me, but I think it might be changing a little bit. I've heard that, you know, there are some updates and stuff, and so I need to go back on. But at first, when I first joined, I went in and found like the mission statement and things like that, and it was kind of a chore. So I need to kind of go on more often, I think.
And we're going to do a website walk webinar to kind of get people more comfortable with all the different, because it is a lot of great information. And I don't want to, you know, I have my best friend who spells her name just like this, but it's Jeannie. Are you Jenny or Jeannie? I keep saying Jenny. So isn't that awful? But I'm like, that's how my friend Jeannie spells her name. So that's why I keep calling you Jeannie. So Jenny, how often do you use the state resources or committees?
Oh, I don't think I've ever contacted anybody through the website. If I have a concern or a question, I usually go to my area director, who tells me the person who takes care of that, because it's not always apparent to me who's going to handle the problem that I'm concerned about. So she'll refer me to a person, and that's usually what I do.
Great. And Donna?
I use it regularly. I email Johanna probably 2 or 3 times a month to give her updates of change of address, somebody passed, you know, errors that I find. I'm regularly in contact with Mark from Area 1, and since I'm on the MMRC, I was also GRC. I got regular emails from both Kyla and Lorraine. I finally got somebody to do GRC only because I promised that I would do anything in person if she did the Zooms. So that's how I managed to get somebody for GRC. And my my newsletter editor is now the Area 1 CT, is going to be the incoming Area 1 CTC. She's fab. So we're regular.
That's great.
Oh, I would add, if for the website, the only one criticism I have is that the little search icon is too small. If it was really large, it would make it a lot easier. It took me, I'm ashamed to say, over a year before I actually found it. And I kept thinking, why is a website this involved doesn't have a search icon? And then I finally found it. It's way too tiny.
It's tiny. Great. That's always something I'll pass on to Debbie. Kathy, how often do you feel comfortable, and do you use the state resources and committees?
Actually, I'm more like Jenny. If I had a question, I would go to Tony, our area director, and ask him. I did use the website when I was first starting teacher grants to get tools to like the headliner and information about how to write letters to they had sample letters and sample applications, and I used their information for that. But most of the time, if I had a question, I would go to Tony.
That's good. Yeah, great. And then Carol Lee.
Carol Lee's new to the whole thing.
Okay, so you just ditto. Bill.
Well, I will admit that Johanna is my best friend, and I always email her if I don't have the answer from some local person. And then if she doesn't know the answer, she refers me to the person up the line, and I finally get whatever I need. There was something else, but I forgot what it was now. That's it.
Well, and let me please add, I know you probably do, but please tell Johanna how much we appreciate her. We had to coerce her today to do her session. She's like, nobody cares. I go, are you kidding? You're the meat. So
well, following that, I emailed her the other day and asked, on the lapsed members list that we get monthly, wouldn't it be nice if we could find their email addresses, their phone number, and their physical addresses there, but not an email address. And so she said, oh, okay, it's not there, but it's in the Excel package that I send you. So I looked at that, and none of those LAPS members are current members, so they're not on the list. And so I let her know that. And then she said, I'm not going to make any more changes, because every time I make a change, I get all of these nasty notes from various people who've received them, I guess. And she said, I can't do this. I can't handle this. So I wrote back to her and said something, oh, please, don't listen to those people. They don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, she is terrific. And we do need to tell her that.
Yeah. Yep. And then Carlos, I know you're new, but I'm sorry, Marcos.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to add that Bill and I have been promoting our local group in Stockton by participating in events, city events, like, for example, the 4th of July parade. And we decorated Bill a car, and both our wives came with us, and we put a lot of decorations and participated in the 4th of July parade. And it was very well received by the public. I think people, the local in the area that go to the parade, cheer us so much, and the kids love it. And it's a great opportunity to get the word out, that we teachers are active, and also get the feedback from the public that they cheer us. I mean, it was a really uplifting type of feeling to be out there involved in the community and promoting our organization. We like I said, this is the second year that we participate in the local 4th of July parade in Stockton, and it was a really fun event.
I've received the pictures. They were great. I think that's a great idea. And there's our branding, show it. And then Bob.
Well, can I go back to the last question first? How many of you tell your members how old your chapter is, your division is? So we started doing that, every year, at the beginning of the year, we tell them, hey guys, we've been together, and we have a picture of all the first members. There were only about 12 or 13. But going with the state, I talked to Johanna quite a bit regarding the teacher awards and also membership. But I also had great success with our legislatures, Warren and Jennifer Baker. Both of them have been, they've come to our meetings as speakers, being so close to Sacramento. The other thing is Angelica has come with me to UC Davis for the Laura Settle scholarships, and we've had pictures of that. Also, we've also had the Northern California person, Carol Calamaris, also come in on. Actually, we were all on Zoom with our scholarship committee member, and that's about it. I can't think of anything else, but those three people, Angelique and Johanna. What's her name? She works with Johanna. She does all the funding, I think. Oh man, starts with an S. She's in the office. Sherry has come to UC Davis also to present. They have a banquet or a luncheon where all of their scholarship donors come together, and we are on that list. Actually, several CalRTA members from our division also have scholarships that they give to the education department. So we're pretty involved there.
That's great. Great. And now I'm the LES chair, so I'd be more than happy to come. When you're president-elect, it's one of those things like you find out, oh, and you're this, and you're this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we have less than, because I'm telling you, Sue, you saw yesterday, she shuts us off at 10:30. So I wanted to do one last question, and then anything you want to talk about. And if it's, whatever, let's rate the website. Now, be kind, because if you're not really using it, just be generic, 1 to 5. And what do you suggest? Like I put down Donna's suggestion about the magnifying glass. Those are simple things. We need to hear this. Needs to be larger. And I can't make promises because, this is all done by a webmaster and it's all formatted. So I don't know if that space is the only space, but I will pass it on. So let's start at the last person. Let's go from Bob up and around. So how would you rate it? 1 to 5, 5 being the best. And what do you suggest we could do better on the website?
5. I think it's great. I mean, Marilyn and Scott and everybody that's been included with it are doing a fantastic job on it. I do have a couple of questions. I know when you go to the leadership directory, you can get the email of people by just hitting email on it, and it'll show you what the email is. I think that is a pretty good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Since that can show up, I don't see why we can't have the emails out, for everybody. But I know it's a little bit of a safety issue.
Right.
The other thing is, I saw somewhere that the search or the information only to go to ask for information if it's technical. Now, did I read that somewhere, Marilyn?
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion on the main CalRTA website. When you click on, or when you used to click on Contact Us, there was a whole bunch of verbiage saying blah, 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 use this form for blah, blah, blah. But if you, and then it gave questions for calrta@gmail.com. But people weren't reading the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they were sending all kinds of questions for CalRTA. And that's supposed to be only for the tech questions. We were constantly forwarding those things back to Johanna and Angelique and
me.
the page had to be rewritten.
Right. Yeah. So that needs, okay. All right. And Marcos, how would you rate the website?
Well, I would say I'll give it a 5. I think that's I look at the website and it's very informative to me. I think it's easy to access information. I mean, that's to me is for people who do not know. Maybe we need to promote it more. That is, people need to probably use. I'm not sure if they keep any track of how many people contact the website. Also, that's another important tool to find out, if we are being effective, to make sure that there's a button that they can push, or something to keeping track of how many people access the website.
Right.
And I think that will give feedback to them. Maybe they need to enhance the presentation of the website or make it more appealing or promote it more, perhaps. But I think it's useful. I rate it highly. I think I'll give it a 5. I'm not sure if it's perfect, but I think it's pretty good toward getting better serving the teachers.
Yeah, thank you. Now I'm going to Bill. How would you rate it?
Well, after seeing Sue Breyer's presentation yesterday, keeping up with the updates, I was really impressed, more impressed than I had been before. So I've used it occasionally, but now that I saw all the changes that have been made to it, I'm going to give it a 5, and I'm going to use it a lot more.
Great. Okay, and Carol Lee, you're muted.
Sorry. I'm just kind of glancing over the website. I'd never looked at it before.
Okay.
So
you
it looks
can
really
pass
well
on a
done.
rating. You can pass.
Just my initial 5 minutes that I've been looking, I give it a 5. It seems very easy to maneuver, and I'm looking at it on my phone, and there is a very large magnifying glass on my phone. So it's easy to do a search.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it on my computer, but so.
Great, thank you. And then Kathy.
Well, when I have used it, it's been very effective. I think it's a 4 or 5. And I know my government relations person has used it, and the secretary used it to look up some government relations information so she could be more clear about what the government relations person had said. And I know the teacher grant section where the state grant is displayed, it was effective for the teachers to go in and put their name in. So I thought that was a great idea, that anybody could go in and sign up for the teacher grants. So I rate it a 5.
Great, thank you. And let's see, Donna.
I also 5, and it could be that on my laptop, for some reason, it's coming up very small. So maybe I need to figure out how to redo the settings so that it comes to full
Maybe it'll
screen,
come up.
because
Okay.
it comes out very small in my computer. So that may be my view rather than the actual. Thank you for that information about the phone.
And we lost Jenny. Nancy.
Okay, let me just tell you, I'm saying 3-4 actually. And one of the reasons is I had asked Johanna for a list, and she's like, you can do that from the website. And I could not figure out how to do it. It was just, and so I had to contact her back, and she goes, I'll just do it.
What list? What list?
It was a list for because the areas that I'm representing.
Right.
So I needed to get emails for everybody. You guys, that TV I think is back on.
Right, and we only have less than 3 minutes, so.
Oh, that's
I'm giving
probably
it
me.
you. No, I'm kidding.
I didn't.
So Nancy, I will, I can show you too on the website how you can go under, but
And
yeah,
find and how
right.
to print it. Yeah,
How to-
I
how
just could not figure it
Define
out.
the areas. So you and I will just let's put that on our list to get together. Marilyn.
I really like it, and it's been interesting I give it a 5. Except for that sign-in business. I think that's
Okay, I think that's
my issue. But there's a whole bunch of stuff there, whether you're on the main page, the homepage, or whether you go into members. There's still tons of information there, whether you're signed in or not.
okay. And Cynthia, we're going to do this.
Yeah, I hardly ever go on it, but I didn't know that we had a YouTube channel. I learned that this morning. I think that should really be somewhere big on there that says, hey, we have a YouTube channel. If you want to know about blah, 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 whatever's on that YouTube channel. Because I think people like YouTube. They're sitting at home looking at their TVs. We need to put out a blast about just that feature and how to use it, in my opinion.
And if you go to, if you play one of the short videos, it gives you directions on how to get on the YouTube. So Cynthia, what number would you rate it?
Oh, I would rate it a 5 because I spend some little time on there. It's my own fault. I don't do more on there. But what I've done, I've liked.
Great. And, I do want to say this is, to me, I hope it's been as informative for you as it has been to me. I love being able to meet with each division. So if you're in, if you do want to have a government relations person and your area rep, just email me. I think it's really important that we continue to reach out. We're going to talk about in our GRC how we have to continually reach out to our current members who don't use technology. I mean, we have a lot of our members, and we're still trying to get emails for close to half of them who weren't able to participate in this because they're not using technology. So at your division level, remember to include them with the old-fashioned phone call. a postcard. Let them know that they're still a valuable resource. Get them engaged somehow. And we're going to have some new ideas. And you can see, there she goes. It's going to
6
close in
minutes.
6 seconds.
Four,
Who should have been a
three.
TV producer because
The rooms are just closing. Our president's session has come to an end. We have this morning a 15-minute break. If you look at your schedule, Susie Dixon begins immediately at or right at 10:45. So you're going to want to come back just a couple minutes early so we stay on our schedule. But go ahead and mute your microphones, turn off your screens, go grab something to eat, but come back just before 10:45.
and go to speaker view, please.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, thank you, Susie. Make sure you go up into the right-hand corner of your screen or wherever it is on your computer, click that view button and change it to speaker view. If you're seeing all the squares, you're in gallery view. So go up to the corner, look for view, and then change it to speaker view.
And Sue, Jennifer Baker is also presenting with me, and she's going to be controlling the slideshow. So if you could give her.
I will.
Okay.
Well, yeah, she has permission, so anybody can share. Okay. All right. We'll see you guys in about 10, 15 minutes. Go ahead and mute your microphones, and you can turn off your video screens. I'm going to be hanging out if anybody has a question. Donna, your hand's up.
Yes, thank you. What I would really love is a blank or a formatted trifold, what's the word for it? When you have a, God, my brain just blanked. When you go into your word processor, you have templates. That's the word. I want a blank template for a threefold, because when I go out in the community, I would like to have a Division 27 handout, because the general one just is not grabbing it locally. And I know some other people have done it and they share it with me, but it comes as a PDF, which is useless to me.
Yeah.
Useless.
Donna, let me see what I can find for you, okay?
Thank you. I'd really appreciate that, because that's my goal, is to get my CTCs to make a Division 27 trifold.
You know what you can also do is you can just go onto whatever search engine you use and just type in trifold brochure template.
Hey, Donna, I can send you, or Lorraine can send you a copy of ours. That'd be
Is it
is it a PDF?
No.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
At least I don't think it is, because I created, I don't know how to create a PDF.
Okay. Great, Mark. Send it.
I was going to say, I have one too, Donna.
That's Betty.
And I'm sure Lorraine heard me. So Lorraine, would you do that, please?
Good one, Mark. Good one. Good morning, Joanna.
Hello.
In response to what we just heard about those things, I would recommend that send them to every area director and let them send them on to their divisions.
Yeah, you would have to personalize them, obviously. Yeah.
I'd like to see what others are doing.
Johanna, how can I help you?
I have a question about the recording. So I was the one that was able to record, and now I've stopped recording and I can't find.
Okay, I sent everybody who is a moderator, and that would be including you, an email that has some instructions on where it is. Okay, so.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
All right, so go ahead and check your email. So if you were a moderator for your particular group, I sent you an email on if you personally pressed the record button, then there are some instructions there on how to recover that recording on your computer or where it might be stored.
Chuck, are we all automatically going to be put into our chat room or into our breakout rooms?
No, you will select your room. There will be a choice on the. No, I haven't.
Okay.
We're not, because we're not there yet. I have to open the rooms first, but we've got Susie Dixon first. And when she's done, then I'll lead you into your rooms. And if you have any trouble, Betty, I can put you in your room. Okay.
I shouldn't have any trouble. I was just looking for it, and it's like, it's not there. It was there yesterday, but not there today.
Yeah, it won't show up until I actually open the room.
Okay, fine.
Cool.
You're doing a good job. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Jan?
I just need to tell Chuck, Division 83 already has a brochure. If he still wants it, I can send it out to him.
I know about that, but I was asking others who have done things so they could share and we can pass that on to people.
Hey, Terry Marzell?
Hi, I just wanted to ask a question. Because I didn't think that there was going to be a time to ask it later. But so this has come up a couple of times over the last 2 days so far about recruitment and how younger retirees don't really want to join things. And then today it came up that they didn't really want to they didn't want to join CalRTA for social reasons or whatever, for the social programmings or whatever. What do they want to do? I mean, what is it that they want? What is it that they want so that we could figure out how to provide that so that they would join?
I think that's a great question. I know that personally, when I retired, I didn't want to do anything. I honestly did. I was so tired after 38 years of being on that, treadmill and paper grading and all the stuff that goes along with teaching. I was absolutely exhausted, tired. I honestly didn't want to do anything.
Now, right?
So it took me a little while. So, but that's only my opinion.
We have a Sue and Terry, we have a category called advocacy. Teachers, usually if you were active in the union or you paid attention to legislation at all, then you were interested in what was going on. But now that you're retired, you're hesitant to jump back with both feet into that new arena. But CalRTA has a membership that is just advocacy. It's got nothing to do with divisions. The advocacy membership allows members or potential members to go in and just watch what we are doing as an organization. And then they can join, and all they're going to get is the advocacy information. They're not going to be asked by presidents or anybody else to come join the division activities because that's not what they're interested in. They don't like the social thing, but they do want to stay current on what's going on. Now, if you're looking on your screen, you're seeing Sue Dixon. She's nodding her head like this. Susie, take it away. Give Terry more information on that, would you please?
Yes, thank you, Jim, for that plug. And it is called the Advocacy Membership, and it's a great way to transition people who just don't want to be inundated with division meetings or luncheons initially. The idea is to get them in, be a member. They'll receive all information electronically, the legislative alerts, the connections, but they won't receive specific division. They will be called Division 99. Our goal, though, is to then, once they get excited and active in CalRTA, is to encourage them to go to their local division activities, and they can always change that membership. So it's been very positive with our recent retirees because, as Sue said, they're burned.
And is the membership fee per year the same?
It's exactly the same. It's a great process to use for your. My husband's an advocacy member. He's a retired public administrator. He wasn't a teacher, and so he just wants to receive updates. So it's great.
Somebody's talking.
And Terry, you're muted, and everybody else needs to mute.
Yeah,
Terry, you're muted. And we're going to have to mute.
What you said, Susie, and because I get most of my young members want advocacy, but a lot of them join our division because, I actually got a current teacher because she went on our website and saw what we're doing for Social Security fairness and felt the union wasn't doing enough. and she's trying to organize the local union to be more active on the WEP GPO. But I have a lot of members like that. And as I tell members, we have them within our division. They don't necessarily go to the state, but it doesn't make any difference what division they join or how they join. Because when I go lobby, the number of people I represent, and the first time I went to Washington, D.C. to lobby for Social Security fairness, I was one of the original 4 that went with Johanna and David. We had 50,000 members, unlike now. And it's much more impressive to say you have 50,000 than 37,000. And so every membership counts. And as I tell people who say they don't want to take part, I say you're doing your part better than over 80% of the people who get the CalSTRS pension, because you're paying for our great lobbyists. But I have found the other reason they like to join is that I post when there are funerals and obituaries. That's one of the reasons people like to get on our e-tree. I get permission from the families, but that might sound like a funny reason to join, but they like to know what's happening and the little contacts or who's performing in, you know, a lot of our members probably like you are doing art shows, musical concerts, and they like hearing about that. So I have a category called member invited events, or some of them are heading scholarships at the adult school or things. And anybody who's a member gets to post that kind of interest they have. So those are some of the reasons that I'm getting the young members to join. And the other thing that I do that makes it more attractive is on the first day of school, I invite them to join us outside of the classroom. And I only invite new retirees, people who haven't joined, and people who've been members for 3 years. It's also my way of trying to sneak in and get somebody who's never done anything to do anything. And they often join because we give them advice when our district messes up. Like in our particular district, this year, there's all new people in personnel and HR. They did not know how to do retirement correctly. People were told, call CalRTA, call Terry, call Sam, and we helped them. And that's another reason that we'll get membership, is over insurance issues and district issues. Of that, also that issue that we've worked on about reporting your earnings correctly to the state. We have 3 divisions that are affected with out of our 7, where the districts mess up in reporting. So those are the issues that have gotten our younger members involved. Okay, Terry? Hope I didn't talk too much, but.
Oh, you're good.
I had a question.
Yeah.
I'm James Nash. I want to go to this room 4, and I guess that, yeah, that's the one I want to go to, but it's the only one that doesn't really capsulize what the topic is going to be.
Okay, that's because it's an open forum, Jim. It's basically kind of a question and answer time with the president and the president-elect. So Ron, you want to explain? And again, we have Susie Dixon's presentation first, and then we go into those breakout rooms. So
okay, that sounds good. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, James, just come on in, and anything that's on your mind, let's let it go. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to start up in about another minute. You might want to open your chat. There are there's some good information in the chat if you haven't done that. So go ahead and just go down to your toolbar, click that chat icon. Debbie Pate Newberry has made a post there. Some other people have posted. Feel free to post comments, questions there.
Hey, Sue, I just want to tell Donna, I've just sent her everything we have. So she's got a history of our brochures.
Thank you, Mark.
No problem.
Good job. Okay, Ron, I think we're good to go. Susie, Ron?
Okay.
And Jennifer?
Okay, it's time to come back, and we want to hear a special presentation from the Government Relations Committee, Advocacy for Change. And this will be taken care of by Susie Dixon with help from Jennifer Baker. Susie, you're on.
Thank you, Ron. And Jennifer is just there. We go. We're going to begin. First of all, thank all of you as we get our slideshow set up. There we go. And welcome to our second day of our virtual Fall Leadership Conference. One of the things we wanted to make sure is that we all do remember our founder's mission, Laura E. Settle. She drove those dusty roads of California to advocate for retirement security. And 91 years later, we have grown and we are stronger, and we've learned that our dusty roads are not just the highways, but they're the internet highways that we are using. So we're doing advocacy for change. We're going to present to you how you can be an effective advocate, not only from your armchair where you're home now, but as we transition back into the real world and have some smaller meetings with our elected officials. The key that we're going to go through today is one of the things that we hear a lot from our members is, why do we have so many legislative alerts? Well, we speak to our regularly to our elected officials, the leadership team, and they tell us over and over, when we speak in numbers and we do it on a regular basis, they listen. As you can imagine, our congressmen and our state senators and our state assembly members, they are inundated with thousands of requests and bills. So the more they hear from a group in a large number, they take notice. So one of the things we do say is, I go off Maya Angelou's. I learned a long time ago, the wisest thing I can do is be on my own side, to be an advocate for myself and others like me. So we hope today you will learn how you can be an advocate, not just for yourself, but for our whole organization and all of California retired teachers. Next slide, please. And Jennifer Baker.
Thank you. I'm Jennifer Baker. I am one of your legislative advocates, and I know I've had the opportunity to virtually meet many of you. I wanted to let you know a few of the rules that we're going to follow this morning. If you have a question, please write it in the chat. If we have time, we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can. But I did want to note and throw out a plug for Dave Walrat's presentation later on. If some of your questions are pertaining to some current issues that we didn't have a chance to address during our workshop, it's very likely that Dave might be going over some of those as well during his presentation. So make sure that you stay for the end, because I'm sure you're going to absolutely love what he's got to share. So with that, we wanted to talk about how we're really advocating for change at both the statewide and the federal level. There are a number of tools and resources that are on the website, and I can't stress enough how often it's being updated and changed. Susie and I are regularly sending Debbie information, not quite on a day-to-day basis, but some weeks it's almost that much. There is so much new information that's happening at the state level in regard to legislation, or some new action that took place at CalSTRS, or an update that's happening at the federal level. And as soon as we get information that's relevant, we really make it a point to put it onto that website. So I would really, we're going to go over some of the sections of the website, the various sections, the advocacy action section, which is one of my personal favorites because I get to inundate information on that. We're also going to talk about the autumn advocacy campaigns that we're working on now, and talk about what's going on with the WEP and the GPO. So this first page that I wanted to show you, there's a lot of information, but it's a snapshot of our part of our homepage when you scroll down on the CalRTA website. And what you can see is there are a number of different categories. And in each of those categories, there is just some very important information for you. If you're really focused more on what we're doing at the state or federal level in regard to advocacy or in regard to legislation, you really want to look at the advocacy action box that you'll see. You click on that and we have a number of categories. We also make sure to put new and updated information that comes out of CalSTRS. So whether it's a new executive order, whether there's something new happening within their investments division, we make it a point to try to put new and relevant information that CalSTRS shares with us, or information that we've found out that CalSTRS is taking action on. And we've also helped to create a new box on long-term care information, because there's been a significant amount of conversations and action taking place there. And we're going to talk about that a little more later on in this workshop. Susie.
Hey, thank you, Jennifer. One of the main things that Jennifer did point out is that we do update all of these sections on a regular basis. And so the three main areas are advocacy action, our annual or our seasonal campaign, which right now is the 2020 autumn advocacy, and the WEP GPO updates. So if you are able to take some time, go through these sections on the website, I think you'll find such an abundance of materials that you will not only educate yourself, but you can then take the materials, send them to your division members, or also print them if you're having some small in-person meetings. Under the advocacy action section, when you first go to it, you'll start seeing, as we have our most recent 2-minute video was about the governor's executive order for retirees returning to work. So if you're interested in going back to work, or you know someone who is a recent retiree, there is no longer that 6-month waiting period. And this will give you all of that current information. We talk about the Calpers insurance settlement. Though this is not a CalRTA supported issue, we did not ever promote or support the Calpers long-term care. We want to represent our members in this very difficult time. So we're taking the time to contact the Calpers attorney, get up-to-date information on the settlement from the past one that was done 7 years ago, and to try and inform you about the Calper rate increases. And you can see that section there. Our president, Ron Breyer, immediately responded to these concerns for our members, and we sent the letter to the CEO of Calpers, and we're trying, to let them know we are very, very on top of this. And though our hands are tied legally, we will certainly help you in any way that we can get you the information. We also have our upcoming webinars listed. And as you know, Jennifer, David, and I, we do a lot of different webinars. And so we're going to have some new ones coming up in October. And we have our legislative updates on little snippets that I believe that was the one that I did. If you look at the section under advocacy action, there are 6 main areas. The GRC resources and materials. So if you're a division GRC person, this is your go-to spot. If you're a president, this is your go-to spot for you to be able to present to your members some current, accurate documents. Underneath that is our virtual advocacy toolkit. We quickly developed this to be all virtual advocacy during the pandemic. And now we are updating our materials to say in person or virtual, because many of our divisions are having 2 different ones that they're trying to move forward with. State legislation, there's our resources, our most up-to-date information on the state bills. And as you know, a lot of our members, we have to continue to educate them. We are not focusing just on federal issues. We meet on a weekly basis, and weekly basis the last 3 months has been mostly putting out the fires on state legislation, staying up to date. Our members were so proactive when we sent out the ledge alerts on Wednesday to stop some of those divestment bills. So if you want information about current state legislation, that would be where you go for the resources. Under federal legislation, same idea. Current information, documents you can print or send PDF to your members if you're doing a Zoom or virtual meeting. The resources for the Social Security penalties, and then the talking points, facts and figures. One of the things I cannot impress upon our members enough, it is imperative that we get our members to act on, sign up for those weekly legislative alerts. They're making a huge difference. We have met with a lot of our elected officials. We've met with Rodney Davis, the author of HR 82, and they hear from CalRTA members. Our website and our materials are being used by organizations throughout the state and throughout the country. So it's important that we as CalRTA people realize that Debbie Pate Newberry has taken the information we give her for the current alerts. She makes it into a populated message. It takes less than a minute for you to be able to do your advocacy. Next slide, please. This is our current campaign. You know, we just finished this summer, Keep the Heat On. Now we're working on 2021 Autumn Advocacy, Don't Let Up. We are hearing very positive situations that are moving forward in Washington. President Biden and Vice President Harris, in their campaigns, both supported repeal of both the WEP and the GPO. So we're hoping that the information coming to us about those being included into a future Social Security bill, they will be in there. But we need to make sure they have that information that we are not letting up. So if you go to the Autumn Advocacy, you can see we have an overview of activities you can do. We have a send ahead packet, a PDF file, if you schedule a Zoom meeting with your elected official. We have how you order the pre-stamped postcards. If you're meeting in person in small groups, this is a time that you want to be able to write to the president, the vice president, and the first lady. As you know, she's a fellow educator. So we have a suggested message for you to include. We ask you, if you are meeting, to make sure that your members are doing this on a regular basis. If you provide them with a message and you provide them with a pre-stamped postcard, it's an easy activity for advocacy. If you have a meeting or an event, we make it exciting down here. And I know in a lot of the divisions, we do a drawing from the postcards and give prizes. So we make sure before the event is over, we have those postcards in hand and we will be mailing them. So let's make sure that our president and vice president act on their campaign promises, and we do need to let them know en masse. There's also a link to sign the repeal edition. As I mentioned, we have national groups that use some of our materials. And one of the national groups I work with is out of the Alliance for Retired Americans. We formed an alliance called the National WEP GPO Repeal Alliance. And under ARA, there is a petition. We have over 81,000 people at this time who have signed it. All you do is sign your name. It's very easy. And what we are doing is Representative Davis was so excited when our ARA member sent him the hard copy, which is, I think they said 300 pages. He would like to take that to the congressional floor and present it and have it recorded. So if we can get up to 100,000 members quickly, we will be sending the updated. You can also see all of the information of the current WEP GPO, how to check if your representative in California is a co-sponsor, We are scheduling virtual meetings with the non-sponsors from California delegation. At this time, we only have 10. We know we can get at least 5 more, so we're working hard with some Zoom meetings to get that. Reference materials, other organizations that we work with, and information about what is important about who's affected, mostly by the GPL, because as you know, all states are affected in some way by the WAP. Next slide, please. And this slide is our virtual advocacy toolkit. It gives you the same information. It's all about what you can do to have a suggested meeting for your legislators. If you are involved in our virtual March Advocacy Day, this is just a quick take on that, because it's the same ideas, being respectful, having someone assigned to each part, but to be comfortable in a Zoom setting. It's important that you continue to meet with your elected officials at the state and local level. One thing we found is they are very receptive to virtual meetings. It helps them. They can be in Washington, D.C. They can be in Bakersfield and meet with their groups. They don't have to do that travel, or you don't have to do the travel also. It's important you include the platform. We all need to remember our platform is developed from our members and our members' needs. So we need to make sure that our elected officials see why those 4 key areas are important for our retirement security. If you have not signed up for your emails, down here, there's so many different parts on the website to show you to sign up. It is a secure website. We do not share your email with anyone else, but you will see how easy it is to have your message populated, point, click, and move on. Currently, we are taking a pause on our Tuesday alerts because, as I said, we're doing personal Zoom meetings with some of our California delegation who have not co-sponsored. That doesn't mean if your representative is not a co-sponsor, you shouldn't be contacting them. The other thing, Wednesdays are designated for our state issues. And you've seen the last few months, we've had a lot of state issues, and coming down into the future, we'll have more. And then finally, Thursdays, we just switched to, we are taking on and targeting groups of our congressmen who co-sponsored the last repeal bill, HR 141, and we're asking them to again sign the repeal HR 82. Those run for 3 weeks, and if you are signed up for your alerts, you will receive them on Thursdays, and everything is there. You may add your own personal message, or you can just make sure that your signature is at the bottom. And next slide, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Susie. We are constantly involved in a myriad of issues taking place at the statewide level, and sometimes some of it gets reported after we've had to quickly take action. So it's important to pay attention to some of the new videos that go out, some of the alerts, and especially the information that we provide in connections and contact, because that's where you're really going to find a lot of relevant information about issues that impact you. Susie had already noted earlier that there were long-term care issues going on with Calpers. Much of this happened very quickly, and if any of you were impacted, or have some of the members within your divisions that were impacted, you will know that this was an extremely stressful situation for anyone that was involved. And it was also extremely complicated, and it didn't happen at a good time. And so what we tried to do is put together as much information as we could, gather the facts, and created quite a bit of relevant information. We made sure that we put that information on the advocacy action section of our website initially, and then it turned into such a large issue that ultimately it got its own block on the website. But we are constantly providing new information on issues that are taking place, such as our action with the County of Marin we had the county of Marin pass or was talking about passing a resolution against having a defined benefit pension in CalSTRS and Calpers. And the resolution had just absolute false and incorrect information. And it was even poorly written. It was sad that local county board of education that's responsible for education would actually be considering something as unprofessional. We quickly stepped into action. We contacted the superintendent of the county of Marin and those trustees, and provided a very technical letter that actually wound up being a very good resource that not only they paid attention to, but a number of other organizations that were also paying attention to this issue took note of. We were very proud of the work, but that took place. That's not always the information that's going to trickle out very quickly. So as we need to take action very quickly on issues such as that, we make sure to provide that information on the website. So it is important, if you have the opportunity to check weekly or every other week, on the advocacy action or browse some of the other areas, you're going to find that that information is not stagnant. It is changing very regularly. And here's an example of the letter to the Marin County Board of Education. And then additionally, as we get other timely issues, such as the new executive order that Governor Newsom had signed on August 16th, we had already provided that information by the 21st. We had also done a video that was sent out to members on social networking. So we are trying to use as many channels of communication as we can to try to get this relevant information out in case it would impact some of our members. So in case some of you may want to consider coming back to work virtually or in the classroom, should you choose to do that, we want to make sure that you have the tools and the resources you need to make decisions that are going to be right for you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And as we said, one of the main federal objectives that we've been focusing on is repeal of the government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision. Those priorities come from our platform survey that is done every 2 years. And when it was done 2 years ago, 98% of our members who responded said this was their #1 concern. That being said, I know it's been a lot of years, but we are closer than ever with the advances of being able to connect virtually with our elected officials. We will be able to move this forward. We have in the 117th Congress, we have the 3 main bills going on currently. HR 82, it actually has 214 co-sponsors. This is totally updated on a regular basis. Thanks to all of you who do respond to our legislative alerts. The companion bill is Senate Bill 1302. We have 33 senators. And right now, we are fortunate that both of our senators co-sponsored early on. Later this month, we're going to start returning our Tuesday alerts into getting other senators from different states who can sign on to that Social Security Senate bill. The other repeal bill is HR 2337. This is from Richard Neal. Unfortunately, it only adjusts the windfall elimination. It does not have any dealings with the government pension offset, and that has stayed at about 176 co-sponsors. One of the things we're hearing coming down the pipeline is that there could be, and well, there should be, a bill introduced by John Larson, who's the chairman of the Ways and Means Subcommittee of Social Security. This is historical. We are waiting patiently. He has promised this will address both the windfall elimination and the government pension offset. It would be included in a bill with many Social Security reforms. So many things will be in this bill. It would not just be repeal of the weapon GPO as HR 82 does. But what was exciting is we were able to give, nope, that's fine. You can flip it. Thank you. We were able to share that information because of the work I do with the national group with Representative Representative Davis staff, and Representative Davis co-sponsored Larson's bill even before we have a bill number. So he truly is bipartisan. He truly wants repeal. So once this comes and we get a bill number, we will be able to share it with our GRC advisory committee, take it to our board of directors, and then you should be able to start getting alerts on that. We've confirmed there is no conflict to support both. As Rodney Davis has said, all I believe in is repeal. And he has no ego if his moves slower than the others, but we are at 214. So remember, the magic number is 290, and we have to then take it to a floor vote. What can you do? As we've said over and over, get signed up for those alerts, contact your representative on a regular basis. If they're a co-sponsor, thank them and ask them to have their other California delegates sign on. Also request the GPO be added to HR 2337. That is the most punitive for our women educators, and the majority of educators are still women. Schedule Zoom meetings. If you need help with that, contact myself or your area representative on GRC, and we will help you set up a Zoom with your elected official. Sign the repeal movement. Attend in-person and virtual town hall meetings. It's always a great way for your elected official to know who you are if you are regularly attending meetings. And as I said earlier on our campaign, contact President Biden, Vice President Harris, and the First Lady with those postcards to make sure they stand on their campaign promise. Next slide. Jennifer.
And that leads us to our questions. And I'm going to stop sharing because I did see at least one question in the chat box from John. And John had a great question. Can we publish reports on where public officials stand on our positions? For example, Web GPO, vouchers, public pensions. Did you want to start that for Web GPO? Then I can talk about that at the state level.
Absolutely. And you can, if you need the up-to-date list of who has not co-sponsored, it was on one of our past ledge alerts, but just email me and I can send you the list. Like I said, there's 10 from California, though Nancy Pelosi is not listed as a co-sponsor. As speaker, she's given us her support, but that is traditionally protocol that they do not sign on. And so please do publish it. Jennifer.
When it comes to statewide issues, there are hundreds of bills that we're monitoring, and we're taking positions on quite a few bills to begin with. So we don't necessarily have that information quickly available on the website. But if there is a specific bill or issue where you would like to find out where your legislator is, you are always welcome to contact me. And I'm going to put in just a minute, I'm going to put my email address in the chat box. And I hope that you'll write that down. And if there's something that you need to know about your legislator and a bill that we have a position on, please make sure that you let me know. We want to make sure individuals are well educated on what's going on. What I can let you know is that it's not on all bills, but particularly high priority bills. When you go into the advocacy action section and then go on to the state legislative section, I actually have copies of the bill letters that we're sending to the legislature. So if there is a bill that you want to pay attention to, that you may want to contact one of your state representatives on, you can use those bill letters to help give you background information.
And then we had a question about, can anyone sign the petition? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I told my sons, if they don't want to have to be responsible for mom's care, they need to get on board with these repeals. So it's a good way to get your children involved, and they just need to be 18 or older, voting age. And it's an easy petition. So please get your neighbors, your friends. Let's get up to that 100,000. And Jennifer, I put my Dixon family too, if you want to put your email in there.
Just did it. You were too fast for me, Susie.
Well, you were talking. We're good at multitasking, but and if we weren't able to answer your questions today, please let us know through the email. We will definitely get back to you, and we're here to help. GRC is all your area representatives and our advocates. We are here. So